They say war is chaos. But from the cockpit of an AH-64 Apache, war is a symphony of power and precision, until it isn't. Captain Jason Hawk Rivers was trained to provide close air support, not go rogue. But on that dust-blown morning over Al-Sharak Valley, something changed. A distress call. An ambushed patrol. The rules of engagement meant nothing when your brothers were bleeding out on the dirt below. So Hawk flipped the safety off, dipped his rotors low, and made a choice no one saw coming, a direct attack run, alone, into enemy lines. And the camera kept rolling. It was supposed to be routine. June 14, 2024. Al-Sharak Valley, eastern Syria. The Apache flight was providing overwatch for a convoy of U.S. and Kurdish joint forces moving through a known insurgent corridor. Intel said light resistance. The sky was clear, the ground quiet. Hawk and his co-pilot/gunner, Chief Warrant Officer Marcus "Slick" Alvarez, were flying callsign Venom 1-1, top cover for the lead convoy. "You ever feel like it's too quiet?" Slick muttered, eyeing the terrain below through the TADS. "Yeah," Hawk replied, hand tightening on the cyclic. "And I hate that feeling." At 0916 hours, the radio snapped alive. "Eagle 6, we are under heavy fire, multiple RPGs from the tree line, repeat, heavy contact, ambush, need immediate air support." The voice was panicked. That wasn't part of the script. "Grid?" Hawk asked. 4 clicks west of current convoy. Squad Romeo 2, pinned down. Casualties confirmed. Hawk looked at Slick. "That's not our AO." Slick frowned. "Command's not going to authorize deviation." He was right. According to protocols, they were to remain within their designated zone unless redirected. But Romeo 2 was calling in their last hope. A ground squad isolated, ambushed, bleeding out. There was no other support in range. Hawk didn't wait. "Strap in, we're punching west." He flipped their transponder to combat active and nosed the bird toward the chaos. As the Apache roared low across the valley, dust spiraled from its downdraft. Radio chatter buzzed, but Hawk tuned most of it out. His eyes locked on the terrain ahead. "There!" Slick barked. "Thermals, multiple heat sigs, South Ridge. Looks like 30-plus tangos, RPGs, maybe a technical truck." The pinned-down unit was huddled in a dry creek bed, taking fire from elevated enemy positions. They had no armor, no backup. Just scattered rifle fire against well-dug insurgents. "Paint the targets," Hawk ordered. "Let's clear some goddamn space." Venom 1-1, this is command. Break off immediately. That is not your target zone. You are violating ROE. The order echoed in his headset. Hawk didn't respond. He was already diving. Slick locked the Hellfire missiles onto the ridge. "Firing," he muttered, and 1, 2, 3 missiles streaked into the sky. The ridge lit up like firecrackers. Insurgents scattered, but some regrouped fast. A mounted machine gun pivoted and opened up on the Apache. "Taking fire!" Slick yelled. Rounds pinged off the armor. Hawk yanked the bird sideways, skimming just 20 feet over the ground. "We're getting too close, Hawk." "Not close enough." He banked hard left and dropped altitude even more. At 60 knots, the Apache swooped directly into the kill zone. Slick switched to the 30mm chain gun. "On my mark," Hawk whispered. "Mark." The cannon roared. Shells raked the hillside. Screams echoed. Fighters dove for cover or didn't dive fast enough. Below, Romeo 2 began moving, dragging their wounded. The enemy didn't care. They kept firing. "Jesus, they're not falling back," Slick said. "They're rallying." A truck loaded with explosives was accelerating toward the U.S. squad. "Not today." Hawk dropped into a direct strafe. The Apache dove. Faster than any sane pilot would dare. Hawk angled the bird so low the rotors carved wind into the dust. Slick's voice cracked. "You're gonna clip the canyon wall." "I'm not missing." The technical truck was bouncing over the rocks, its gunner firing madly. The vehicle was maybe 80 yards from Romeo 2, and closing. Slick armed a Hydra rocket. "I need a lock." "No time." Hawk flipped to manual fire control. The cockpit display lit red. He aimed the nose cannon himself. 60 yards. The truck veered, trying to dodge. Hawk didn't blink. He squeezed the trigger. A wall of fire swallowed the truck. The vehicle detonated mid-air, ripping apart in a spray of smoke and twisted metal. The blast rocked the Apache. Slick swore as warning lights blinked. Engines running hot, turbine surge. Hold it! They climbed just enough to avoid clipping the ridge, banking north. Below them, the enemy line finally began breaking. Survivors ran. The machine gun nest exploded in a flash of fire as Romeo 2's marksmen regrouped. This is Romeo 2. Enemy falling back. Casualties stabilized. Thank you, Venom 1-1. You saved our asses. But it wasn't over. A second wave was incoming. Trucks. Fighters. A full detachment. Command called again. Venom 1-1, you are to RTB. Do not engage. Backup en route in 20 minutes. Hawk checked his weapons. Only one Hellfire left. Limited 30 millimeters. Fuel dropping. Slick leaned back. We won't survive another run. Hawk stared at the smoke rising from the creek bed. Yeah, he muttered. But they will. He gritted his teeth and turned back toward the smoke. One last pass. Hawk's final run wasn't captured by the cockpit cam. It was too low, too fast. But the helmet feed recorded it all. He cut through the canyon like a storm. Flares launched. Missiles dodged. He used every trick, terrain masking, power dives, rolling brakes, to stay alive. That last Hellfire, he fired it into the center of the enemy convoy. Direct hit. The explosion tore through 3 trucks and a dozen men. The rest broke and scattered. By the time air support arrived, the valley was quiet. Romeo 2 was safe. Enemy forces had retreated across the ridgeline. Venom 1-1 limped back to base. The Apache's rotors were chipped. One engine was burnt out. And Hawk. He barely spoke during debrief. He just handed over the video log and walked out. The incident went viral. The helmet cam footage leaked online, broadcasted across news channels and military forums. Apache pilot defies orders to save ground troops became a trending headline. Some called him reckless. Others called him a hero. Command reprimanded him. Technically, he'd violated direct orders. But 3 days later, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. And Romeo, too. Every one of them wrote a letter backing him. They say machines don't feel. But sometimes, the man behind the machine makes a choice. And on June 14th, in a valley most people can't even pronounce, one pilot chose his brothers over protocol. And because of that, they came home.